Hi everyone, welcome to our curriculum meeting for Explorer class. The staff that work in our nursery are myself, Mrs Malone as the class teacher, Mrs Banks and Miss O'Brien as the class LSAs, and Mrs Newman, who covers nursery on a Thursday and Friday whilst I'm doing my assistant head duties. We have routines in place. By now, hopefully you know that our gate opens at 8:35 and we are already, doors open at 8:40. Means that the children have got 5 minutes to wash hands, to hang up their belongings and put things away. We would encourage, now that the children know the routines, to start to develop a little bit of independence, make sure that they are having a go at putting their water bottle in the tray. Can they find their peg with their name on it? As the weather turns a little bit colder, we're going to bring the hand washing stations inside. So it'll be your role to help them hang up their things, and then they'll come in to wash their hands before coming to the carpet with the adults inside the nursery. We have responded to the current situation by putting a number of COVID measures in place. The children wash hands on entry to school, and we wash hands throughout the day. And when hand washing is not possible or manageable, we use the antibac gels. Everyone that works in our nursery is part of our nursery bubble, which means if they work elsewhere in the school, they wear a visor and maintain social distancing. So as myself as assistant head, I spend time in all classes, but I'm always wearing my visor when I do, and I maintain social distancing. We have altered our routines to make sure that we are minimising the need to be near the children when we don't need to. Obviously, when we need to, we are, because of the age of the children. That's all within our risk assessment. But things like changing for PE, which would involve a lot of close contact, we've altered our routine to say the children come in their kits, which means that's not something we need to consider. We also make sure that if we sing, we go into a large space or outdoors to be in line with government guidelines. We have our antibac gel, which the children put on following choosing time, or if they've used a shared resource. Our resources, we've tried to consider ways to maintain them safely, so things like them having their own Play-Doh packet. We also have a routine of cleaning, and every week everything is deep cleaned. The early years curriculum is made up of prime and specific areas. The prime areas, hopefully you can agree, overarch everything they do. So their personal, social, emotional development is key for them being well-adjusted, ready to learn children. So ready to learn is happy and comfortable, an understanding of different feelings and other people's, and how our emotions and personal self can affect our learning. Communication and language is the vehicle that makes them access everything they do, because without language, learning becomes incredibly tricky. So developing that language from a young age gives them the tools they need to learn effectively. And physical development covers the gross whole body skills and the fine motor skills that they need in order to access learning and develop further skills. Underarching these is the specific skills: literacy, maths, understanding the world, and expressive arts and design. So this is kind of what we try to aim to teach and cover in our time at nursery. So we want to build the building blocks for writing, reading, and talking, alongside their maths learning, which would be their number and understanding of shape. Understanding the world covers history, geography, science, but those initial early elements of questioning and wanting to know and seeking information and expressing arts and design does cover elements of creativity that you'd expect, like art and making things, but also the imaginative side for role play and creating new things. And these are all underpinned by the characteristics of effective learners, which is the how we approach learning. The specific and prime areas are the what we aim to cover, and this is the how we aim to cover it, through playing and exploring, actively learning, and creative and critical thinking. And what you might want to do is pause the video to have a read through these, because this is what would shine through in our learning. So we don't just want our children to play, we want them to find out and explore. And rather than telling them things, we want to give them opportunities to find out answers on their own and to ask questions. We want them to maintain their concentration and enjoy when they've set out to do something and then they've achieved it, but also to persevere when it's not going right. Most importantly, I feel, is the thinking elements, that we want them to have their own ideas and to make links between what they know and what they're seeing, so that they can see that a conker is like when they went on a walk, and it's an object that you can find in a tree, and they've had experiences of trees that they can link all their learning to. And also that trees live and grow, like they live and grow. And we're constantly trying to make those links because that means their learning becomes more secure. And my particular importance one would be the choosing the way they do things, that independence. This is the problem that you're facing, that your model, the wheels keep falling off. What should we do to fix it? And see what ideas they generate, suggest ideas, and then they choose and take that forward. If it works, we can reflect on it. If it doesn't work, we can reflect on it. But we're building in that independent thinking, which is going to make them a successful learner all their way through our school. So then we have our routines, which is things that we do every day. So every day we learn together, which means structured sessions where an adult is leading the learning. So busy fingers, phonics, singing and stories. And there's also child-initiated learning, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's them choosing how they want to learn. So busy fingers happens daily. There's a carousel of activities that the children work through, all to develop finger dexterity and strength. At this age, their hand muscles and bones have not fully developed, which means that they can have some weaknesses in them, which means activities like cutting and writing can be tricky. So we just do small activities like threading, which involve lots of pincing movements. We do stacking activities, all to build that dexterity. And we also introduce words like challenge and the idea of focus. Busy Fingers is about 10 minutes long, so we aim for our children to focus on the activity for about 10 minutes. And then this also offers further opportunities to explore number and colour and to bring in elements of their learning. Currently, we are on our phase 1 phonics. This will overarch most of their time in nursery because it's so key to everything that we teach throughout our school around learning to read and sound. Having taught further up the school, often the gaps in learning come back to a phase 1 issue, that children can't hear sounds or that they're not able to distinguish between sounds when they're close together in words. So getting this right in nursery is our key importance to building them every foundation they need to move forward. Often children can learn the sound, so they know that S makes a S sound, but hearing that sound in a word and being able to pick it out is what they find difficult, to be able to segment it out or blend it together with another sound. So we give them all the skills in nursery so that when they come to this, they're prepared. So we look at instruments and the different sounds they make. We make patterns with sounds and can you hear the different sounds? We get them to describe sounds so they can hear a loud sound and a quiet sound. We look at different sounds that they know that animals make. And that brings in the idea of the animal has a name and it has a sound, just like letters have a name, A, and a sound, A. And the A is a loud sound. So all of this links into what they will use as the building blocks for reading. But it's so important that we spend the time to build these skills with them. So this is an overview of the initial focuses within phase 1. And you can see that it builds from sounds around them to discriminating between sounds to then beginning to explore rhythm and rhyme, which is so important for the reading process, leading into the idea of syllables in words. So we're bringing in all those elements which will be the basis of their learning to read. We have singing and stories every day. These are very important to build in that element of rhyme, but also we bring in elements of maths with counting songs and action songs, vocabulary, and it's a lovely part of our day. And we also have daily stories. These come from our core books in nursery, which have lots of repeated refrains, like we're going on a bear hunt, the Gruffalo, so the children can begin to learn the language of those stories and join in. Child initiated, as you can see, is a variety of learning experiences. This is where children choose their learning. As adults, we set up areas and we set up activities, and then the children explore these. And our job is to be alongside it and to facilitate it through questioning and commenting, and sometimes just sitting back and observing the language they use and the approach they take. And then from here, we link these to our statements for learning so that we can establish that what did they do and what would we like them to have a go at next. And that's their progress in learning. This will be linked to our whole learning together sessions. So if we explored particular sounds, you can see some of them on the telephones there. That week you were looking at loud and quiet sounds. So we encouraged and modelled using the phones to create that so that they can independently apply what we've practiced together. Every week we have some common weekly activities. You've hopefully heard about our welly walks and our PE sessions. These are amazing. I love Tuesdays putting on our wellies. We've been twice to the big school field, once to look for helicopters, sycamores, and the second time to look for acorns. And through this, we built such a level of let's be brave, let's be prepared for our walk. Walking with a partner and the discussions they have are amazing. And then looking at our field and how it's changing week upon week, looking at what we're finding and talking about it. All of those characteristics of effective learning is coming through each week. And as of next week, we'll be starting our yoga on a Monday and Friday. So the children will go into the hall and we have a yoga program which we'll be following, which is sure to be fun. End of day routines. The gate opens at 11:35 so that you can come in and begin to gather some of their things. So when the door opens at 11:40, they're ready to go. I do ask that you try and stand back a little bit. I try to vary who I send out first, just so that the children can get used to waiting and also the enjoyment of being the first one. And if there's anything that you need to speak to me about, if you always hang around, I'm always around after pick up. But please be mindful that whilst I'm dismissing the children, I am concentrating on them getting to their adults. We have got our Google Classroom, which you can see here. This will be updated weekly. So this is taking the place of what we used to have on our class Twitter, so that I can post pictures and stories that we've read, songs that we've sung, but also some play at home ideas for their weekly home learning. And if you or anyone in your family needs to self-isolate, and the children are having to remain at home, there's also some support which will be posted on there for distance learning. We're not able to have any visitors or trips this term, but as soon as we are able to, we will plan people to come in for the children to experience, and also any local trips that we'd be able to undertake to give the children that experience as well. Understanding maths. We follow the Hearts for Learning, which is the same programme we follow throughout the school. And in nursery, we focus on these documents here, which cover pattern, classification, comparison, and group recognition. We are aiming for them to know their digits, 1 to 10, but then also just to explore number as a concept, to see that grouping things creates two groups of numbers, to look for similarities and differences. At the moment, we're looking at pattern. So can they spot a repeated pattern? Can they see patterns in the environment? Because building all of this knowledge and language around pattern will help them later on when they come to look for patterns within numbers. So again, it's all the building blocks for learning which they'll use throughout their time in school. Next week, the children will take home their reading journals and have access to their library book. So they can bring home one book a week from our early years library. Reading journals are a space to share and to celebrate reading. So every child gets a reading journal, and we would ask that each week you add something to the reading journal that they could bring in and share. This could be a book that you've read at home and just maybe some of the things they liked or said about the book as they read it. It could be a picture that they've drawn or you've drawn with them, the favourite bit of the book. It might be some of their favourite books that they want to share. It may be things that they have experienced reading, so a recipe which I would not expect them to read, but you could model the following of a recipe for them, so they're seeing the purpose of reading. It might be a map from your trip to the zoo, it might be a sign that you had to follow to show you where to go, or a birthday card that they got which they had read to them, because what we want to build for them is the enjoyment of reading, but also an understanding of the purpose of reading. So this is a place to collect all of their reading into one place so that we can share and celebrate within school, and then we will add to them as well, so you can get some ideas from what we do. And I will prepare a bingo sheet of lots of different ideas for what you could add to your reading journal every week. Parents' evening is the week beginning Monday the 23rd. We are doing it via Google Meet this year, to reflect the current situation. So the office will send out guidance for how you can book your slot. And I will just talk through how your child is settled and what I've noticed about their learning and what we're focusing on to help them move forward. And then you can share any questions or comments that you wanted to talk to me about. And I've also in the process of organising an early reading webinar to support our phase 1 parents with supporting children at home at this stage of early reading and an understanding of our overarching theme around how we approach phonics. So provisionally it's been arranged for Thursday the 5th of November, but please watch this space for further information about how that will work. This is both the office email address and mine. If there's something that you need to speak to me about or want to let me know, please email me. If it's urgent, please also include the office in the email, because during the day they're more likely to check the emails and they can come and let me know. Or if you want to speak to me, I am on the door, or you can speak to Mrs. Banks, Miss O'Brien, because if it's something you really want to let us know. But I am around via email to answer any questions. Mindfulness that I do try and have somewhat of a work-life balance on the weekends, but I will try and get back to you in a timely manner. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. It's very strange. Normally we get to see you and you come in for this meeting. Hopefully I've covered some helpful information, but please do use the email address if there's any questions that I've not answered or anything that you'd like to know a little bit more about. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye.